Good evening. Welcome to Tally Ho Chap's new product releases for this week. We're going to start with Commando Comics, the best of. So in this comic digest, we have the best 12 Anzac War stories ever. And inside, you basically have every popular story on if you're a Kiwi with your lemon squeezer, or if you're an Aussie with your Slough Chap, Commando Comics. So a quick little editorial introduction by George Lowe. And then you go straight into the book, which basically goes through some of those famous comics which have Anzacs as their main characters. So as you can see, quite a chunky book, and that's just come in today. And companion to that, we have True Brits, and that's the best, toughest 12 Commando books ever. And of course, same sort of thing, black and white Commando stories, going through each of those famous sort of stories that probably were the most popular stories of the time. So it gives you an idea of what some of those stories were: Guns on the Peak, The Fighting Few, Bright Blade of Courage, The Haunted Jungle, Tiger in the Tail, The Specialists, and so on. Now, not to be outdone, we have War Picture Library Collection. That's 1, 2, and 3. Now, similar sort of format as the Commando Digest, so 12 of the best War Picture comics ever. This one, 12 more of the War Best Picture comics ever. And let me guess, 12 more? No, the toughest, most battle-scarred War Picture Library comics ever. So each of these digests basically have 12 stories, obviously, but inside some of the most popular stories from the War Picture Library experience. So those are available now, along with the Commando Comic Digest as well. Now, not everything is Commando or War Picture Library or Battle Picture Library. Sometimes we have some really obscure sort of titles here. So this one comes from Pearson's Libraries, Sortie at Sunrise. And this was sort of published around the same time as the sort of early Commandos, around 1960, even earlier into the late 1950s as well. So each of them sort of have a very sort of pulp fiction sort of feel to it, but inside, same sort of thing as the Commandos and the War Pictures. Some fantastic sort of illustrations and stories and so forth going through. And then of course we had some other things such as picture stories of World War II, Devil's Bridge. This comes from Attack, Jewel of Death, One After Jewel at Sea as well. And then we've got some aircraft ones, Invincible Wings, Doctor's Oath, and let's finish off with Legionnaire. This week we also have some American comics coming from Dow. Dow's probably one of my more favorite collections in the store. This one is Combat and looks at Pearl Harbor, so the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Unlike the British war comics, these ones are in color. This one comes from 1969, and this is number 28, edition 28. So you can sort of see inside some of the color involved, some fantastic illustrations, and no doubt everyone's very aware of Pearl Harbor, and looking at the surprise attack launched by the Japanese. So some fantastic sort of colored illustrations there, and this is available in store now. In really good condition too, this one. No damage at all throughout. Very excited to release a CGC qualified grade comic. Now CGC basically is a company based in Florida, which was founded in year 2000, and it's Certified Guaranteed Company, so CGC. Basically what it does, it guarantees the quality of that comic book. So it has a team of graders, and what those graders do is they check the stat of the comic book, the story, the rarity, and the condition of the comic book, and then they assign a grade to it. So this one has been assigned 7.0, just pull that up, 7.0. From 1944, this Dow comic, and basically what that grading means, it's quite a high grade comic. I think the highest you can get up to is 10.0, and of course you can go right down to sort of 0.0, 1.0 for the poorer quality. So kind of cool. Look, really excited about this book in store this week, called Der Adler. So Der Adler is basically the Luftwaffe magazine. The Luftwaffe magazine was produced during the Second World War in English and in German. Now in English, because it was a propaganda sort of piece where it could get their message across, mainly to American audiences, saying how mighty the German Luftwaffe was, and sort of stay out of the war, keep your isolationist or principles going back at home. And also in German, obviously, with the message to the people back in Germany saying, you know, how well our airmen and our weaponry are doing in the war against the British and the Allied soldiers. This one's authored by S.R. Meyer, who's a famous famous military author, and also Masamai Tokoi. Now he is one of the most reputable sort of people in terms of the Luftwaffe. He's got an amazing sort of collection of photographs, and some of his photographs have been added to this book itself. So the book sort of starts off chronologically, looks at, you know, some of the different combats and so forth that the Luftwaffe found themselves in initially. So obviously the French, the Low Countries, moving into the Battle of Britain, and then of course the Luftwaffe fighting for survival in Russia, I guess, in the attrition battle of Russia. Now basically what happened to the Luftwaffe, they went for quality rather than quantity, and that's pretty much was their downfall, because when you have basically a war to fight where you need a lot of resources, oil and aircraft parts and so forth, you need to be very economical. The Germans came up with some fantastic sort of new weaponry, and some of those sort of new designs you can sort of see in modern day aircraft. Of course, the first jet fighter was from the German Luftwaffe as well, the Messerschmitt 262. But quite a fascinating book, really heavily illustrated, and that's available now in store in the book collection. Very fortunate this week to have some new Dow Prados come in. We don't just do war comics here at Teleho Chap, we do a lot of models as well. The Dow Prado Men at War. So Dow Prado is an Italian model making company, and some of their models are really fantastic in terms of their detail and the way they've painted them up already. They come in these display cases. That's an Anzac soldier there, I think 1915, that one. And basically within the display, you can see the intricacies of their work there. Now these blue packaging, that means that these ones are made from lead, so probably not the ones to really give to your children. And the red ones, which we'll look in a minute, actually come from pewter. So those are available now in store. Really lucky is also to have some of these Napoleonic Men at War series come in as well. These ones are in the red boxes. The red boxes means they're made from pewter, not the lead. And these ones just as exquisite as the other Men at War. Of course, from the Napoleonic times, you have a couple of the characters involved during that time period, and really collectible. Now these will be for a very specific collector. These are Men at War from Dow Prado again, but these are Men at War with the cavalry. So the cavalry, of course, looking at the horses, the relationship with the horses and the soldiers that fought on them. So we have some of them from the Crimean War. We have some from, you know, sort of the medieval times, Renaissance times, and moving into more the modern day. I think probably the last sort of times you'd see a horse with a soldier fight on. So this is from the First World War. Basically the age of the machine gun sort of wiped out cavalry